All right, we're back and we are going to do a compassion meditation exercise led by Dr. Epstein. So take it away.
So thank you again, Karen. And compassion practice is a training of the heart. It's when we practice mindfulness, we are learning and training the mind to see things as they are, to see more clearly, to see the truth. And when we practice compassion and train the heart, we train it to open with kindness and care and caring about the pain we see. And the sense there is that we have to face both joy and sorrow. And we want to open to life for happiness and joy, but there is pain, there is sorrow, and there is suffering in the world. And yes, how do we eliminate it? How do we alleviate it? How do we lessen it? How do we free ourselves from it? And then the question is, how do we be with it? If we've lost a loved one in the fire, if we've lost our home, if we've gone through some terror or trauma now or in our lives, how do we hold it in our hearts? And compassion is a way of training the mind to be present with the pain and suffering in a way that hopefully lessens it a little bit, allows us to face it and to open to it and to welcome it. And there are practices, and the simple one we're going to do is a practice of self-compassion, of directing the energy of the heart, the caring heart, the compassionate heart to our own struggles and our own pain and suffering. And also include others as well, to open up that quality of our being which is natural. We're not creating the compassionate heart. It's our essence. We're just opening to it, cultivating, deepening it, allowing it, creating the space for it to be expressed and felt and shared. So we close our eyes, we come into the present moment, we tune into the now. Because happiness happens in the now, healing happens in the now, compassion happens in the now. Caring about pain, caring about the suffering, and wishing that we would be free from suffering. That's the intention. May I be free from suffering. And we're breathing in and out of our heart as if that's the place that we connect, not just with ourselves, but with the world, the universe, with others. So very simple. Many tools, techniques you can find on the internet, videos, YouTube, audio on compassion and self-compassion. Um, a number of people come to mind. Kristen Neff, written many books on compassion. Chris Germer, a lot of resources. It Sounds True. Tara Brach, Jack Kornfield, to name a few that I've learned from. So we're sharing this heart quality to open. And Pema Chodron, Buddhist monk, meditation teacher, practices a simple tool of Tonglen, of breathing the pain, the suffering in and breathing out compassion, the letting go. They're not pushing it away, but the wishing and intention to be free from it, to may I be free from suffering. A caring, I care about this pain. I'm not stuck in it. I'm not wallowing in it. I'm not pushing it away. I'm opening it, my heart, to hold it with compassion, with kindness, with care, and a wish that I can be free from it. So this is how we're changing our relationship to it. Again, we're welcoming it, we're holding it, we're embracing it with mercy and awareness, our pain and suffering. Sometimes it's said that our pain is inevitable, but our suffering is optional. Our suffering is the quality and the nature of our presence and being and relationship with the pain we face. To hold it with compassion. The Mandelas of the world, the Martin Luther King, we just celebrated the 100th birthday of Nelson Mandela, commemorating his life. Gandhi, these greats of humanity, what they brought was compassion. In their seeking to alleviate the pain of others, they could hold the pain of their culture, of their lives, of their countries, of their systems, hold all of that pain and suffering with compassion. It was that compassion that created the action moving forward to change the world. So the first step in compassion is to breathe in and out of your heart center. Just connect to the heart, breathing in and out, feeling the opening, feel the heart opening, connecting with yourself, with others, with the universe by the heart as that connecting vessel. And just simple practice of compassion. Picture someone in your life for whom caring about their pain, wishing them well, wishing that they would be free from suffering, be able to see them and sit with them in their pain and say, I hear you, I see you, I care. May you be free from suffering. Not to run from it, not to have to fix them, not to feel bad for them in that sense of I feel sorry, but in a sense of you're not alone. I can be with you here in your pain, in your suffering, and I care and I wish that you be free. I hear you. May you be free from suffering. And you can picture them in your mind's eye. So there's a little imagery, there's a little intention and acknowledgement and well wishes of I care about your pain. May you be free from suffering. We breathe it in and we breathe out compassion, a caring heart. I'm with you. You're not alone. There are many other categories of people and others that we can extend this compassion to, but for now, in the interest of time and brevity, and focus on self-compassion. Direct that intention, that energy, that focus of the heart to yourself. Whatever you've gone through, whatever you're going through, this was initially offered for support for California and the people going through and perhaps struggling with the stress and trauma of the fires and the aftermath. But this is for anyone struggling in life with a pain or a difficulty of body, mind, heart, spirit, whatever that difficulty may be, to have the intention to welcome it with a compassionate heart and practice self-compassion. Breathe it in. Breathe in that pain of the body, of the mind, of the heart, of the grief, of the sadness, whatever may be there. In a loving, gentle way, welcoming it, touching it with a merciful awareness, letting it in. Not to overwhelm or get lost in it or finding that not too tight, not too loose. Let it in gently, but with the intention that I want to hold my pain, hold my suffering in this heart of compassion. So I breathe it in, and when I breathe out, I care about my pain. May I be free from suffering. But this can be really helpful at times, particularly when we're having a difficult time, when we might have a pain or a flashback or be caught in our suffering or struggle with whatever the issue may be of our lives. And so we just breathing in and out, we say, I'm having a hard time right now. That this is difficult. This is hard for me. This is painful. This is scary. This hurts. So just acknowledging with an emotional awareness of what's happening. I'm having a hard time. This is difficult. This is painful. And this is self-compassion, acknowledging your challenge, that you're in struggles, that is hard. And then to remind yourself, this is part of being human. It's universal. Yes, it's happening to you. You're unique, but you're not special, or you're special, but you're not unique. Everyone feels this at some point. Some part of this trauma, this stress, this pain, this suffering, it's part of the human condition. So we're welcoming it, knowing it's part of being human. Having a hard time, everyone feels this. I'm not alone. And then to want to be kind to yourself. May I love and support myself and be kind to myself as I am, just as I am right now. No running away, no pushing away, no getting lost in or wallowing or feeling sorry, but just acknowledging I'm having a hard time. It's part of my being human. May I be kind to myself. May I be good to myself. May I accept myself as I am right now. And may I give myself the compassion I might give a friend or family member, the compassion I need. You know, when there's no fixing or curing or getting rid of or running away from or avoiding, in the facing, in the being with, there's the compassion, the heart that can hold it, can hold that part of us, that baby that's crying. The most essential gift, quality that a parent, that a mother can have is the compassion, to hold them, to let them cry, to care about their pain so that that child knows they're not alone. I see you, I hear you, I care. May you be free from suffering. I welcome you into my heart. Can we bring that compassion to ourselves in our own suffering and our own struggles? So it's a process, opening the heart, the intention to breathe it in and to breathe out compassion, kindness. The process to simply say, I'm having a hard time. This is difficult. I'm struggling with this. Whatever it may be, sadness, grief, hurt, anger, a situation, pain, illness, loss. This is part of being human. This is the truth of suffering for those who have a familiarity with mindfulness and teachings of Buddhism. But at the heart of all of the faiths and all of the religions is how to be free from suffering, how to make sense of this human condition. And at the heart of all of those faiths is kindness and love and compassion. And let's start for ourselves, for our own suffering and our own struggles. And a kind heart for those without any kind of religious faith, but just faith in humanity, humanistic faith, faith in nature, faith in the very nature of our being. Whatever you trust, the compassionate heart and kindness for ourselves and others is at the core of that faith, of that trust. And when we're in pain and struggling, can we bring that compassion into our hearts, to welcome our difficulty, to hold it with a compassionate heart, to recognize it's a challenge, to accept what we're going through, to be aware, to not be caught in it, to not identify with it, and to nurture ourselves, to be nice to ourselves, to be kind to ourselves. Self-compassion. And as I shared in the discussion of resilience and the qualities of resilience, kindness and compassion go with the 7 intentions as well. and the compassion to just acknowledge our own humanity, the truth of our suffering. Trust our compassionate hearts to hold it. And as we wish this for ourselves, we share this with others because we're not alone. We share this with others who may be suffering, each in their own way, each of them having a hard time, each of them in their humanity, each of them needing kindness and compassion and nurturing. So we wish that all beings find peace and freedom from suffering. It's always a breath away, a moment away to stop, to breathe in, to welcome, and to hold with a compassionate heart, to be kind to ourselves. So we'll close. There's a poem that a meditation teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, has written, which is called Please Call Me by My True Names. And it's a poem about compassion. And it's a poem that there but for the grace of God go I, that we're all kind of in it together and we're not as separate and different as we might think. And he tells the story. He's a Vietnamese monk and he talks about the Vietnam War and all the suffering that he witnessed around him and all the pain that goes with that suffering. And he talks about sea pirates and young girls trying to escape the horrors of war and all of the traumas that befall people in those circumstances. And he particularly writes the poignant story of a sea pirate and a young girl raped by a sea pirate who jumps into the ocean to drown herself. Very sad, painful story. If you Google this online, we'll send you the poem and the writings about it and the preamble. I just gave you a brief introduction. But the important point is that as he faced these sufferings that he was reflecting on, what it brought him to was the door of compassion, the heart of compassion. That sometimes the only way to face and to be with the struggles and challenges and suffering of the world is with a compassionate heart. So I read that poem to close our meditation on compassion. After a long meditation, I wrote this poem. In it, there are three people: the 12-year-old girl the pirate and me? Can we look at each other and recognize ourselves in each other? The title of the poem is Please Call Me by My True Names, because I have so many names. When I hear one of the names, I have to say yes. So here's the poem called Please Call Me by My True Names. Do not say that I will depart tomorrow. Even today I am still arriving. Look deeply. Every second I am arriving to be a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with still fragile wings, learning to sing in my new nest, to be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower, to be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that are alive. I am the mayfly metamorphosing on the surface of the river, and I am the bird which, when spring comes, arrives in time to eat the mayfly. I am the frog swimming happily in the clear pond, in the clear water of a pond, and I am the grass snake that silently feeds itself on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo shoots. And I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl, refugee on a small boat, who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And I am the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am a member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands, and I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people, dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the four oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up, and so the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion. That's the gift of our pain, of our suffering. It opens the door. The door of our heart is left open and sometimes broken open. The door of compassion. And Karen,
Mm-hmm.
there's one more poem that I'm going to send you,
Okay.
which is a little shorter,
All right.
but in the same vein of how we deal with pain. And I use the phrase when we're broken open.
Hmm. Elizabeth Lesser actually wrote a great book by that name, by that title.
Yeah. And this is a poem by Rashani. A lot of information as a poet on written books and poems. It's called The Unbroken, written in 1991. It's been published in many, many, many books. And if you just do Rashani, I'll send you the link to the
Okay.
poem.
Perfect.
but I thought of it in the context of being broken open.
Mm-hmm.
That's how in our last discussion I described the healing,
Yeah.
where the real self leaks through when we break open, when we break the heart open to the place inside that's unbreakable.
Mm-hmm.
And how I felt when my heart was broken open by my father's death at the time, and how it opened me to the door of compassion and the door of love that I didn't know was there.
Mm.
So this is by Rashani, Unbroken. And I'm thinking of the people, particularly which prompted our getting together, and people suffering in California from the trauma of what they just went through, some still carrying it, some moving through it to one degree of stress and trauma or another, some getting back to their lives. But all perhaps had their hearts broken at some point, broken open. There is a brokenness out of which comes the unbroken, a shatteredness out of which blooms the unshatterable. There is a sorrow beyond all grief which leads to joy, and a fragility out of whose depths emerges strength. There is a hollow space too vast for words, through which we pass with each loss, out of whose darkness we are sanctioned into being. There is a cry deeper than all sound, whose serrated edges cut the heart as we break open to the place inside which is unbreakable and whole, while learning to sing. So
Love
I
it.
hope this meditation, these poems, offer some compassionate solace to the challenges and struggles of our humanity, of our shared humanity, of our pain, of our suffering, of our traumas.
I think they will. And thank you so much. That was so beautiful. Definitely feel more compassion inside of my own body and my own soul and spirit. So thank you for sharing, Dr. Epstein.
And when we ask, when we're stuck in the trials and tribulations of stresses and traumas and events, sometimes beyond our control, we always have the choice, not just what to do about it, but to always ask, how can I be with it?
Mm.
And when we ask that, we can be resilient and we can be compassionate.
Yeah.
And we can open our hearts.
How can I
To your
extend
human.
compassion to these parts of me that are hurting so deeply?
Yeah. So thank you, and happy healing and well wishes of compassion to all, and freedom from suffering.
Mm. Ditto.
And out of that, let's bring joy and happiness. This is the challenge, to transform it into a journey of healing and awakening.
And it's definitely possible to get there, but we've got to do it together.
Okay, so thank you, Karen, and
Thanks, Dr. Epstein.
blessings to all.
Blessings all.